Watch out, world, I'm coming through. Watch out, world, I'm coming through. Watch out. You've experienced life, love, lost, have no fear. Just keep pushing, be strong. Keep the faith until change comes. Strength is not how much you can ever overcome and what you couldn't do alone. I'm determined to. Yeah, I'm a win, I'm a win, I'm a win, yeah. I'm a win, 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 yeah. I'm a win, I'm a win, I'm a win, yeah. I'm a win, I'm a win, I'm a win, yeah. Watch out, world, I'm coming through.
Hey, what's up, what's up, what's up? It is First Monday. We are in the 8th month, the month of new beginnings. Yes, and we're here with experiencing the ABCs of experiencing life, love, and loss with who? Your girl, Tisha Milton. Hey, I'm a win, I'm a win, I'm a win. Yeah, we are some winners up in this place. Yes, and today, I want to say thank you so much for being such good listeners and followers. You have been with me since day one. Yes, and I appreciate you all for supporting me and always being there. And when you come on, you are a part of the show. Yes, we want you to respond. And we want you to be a part of the show. So at this particular time, before we even go any further, I want you to go ahead and click like the video and share it. Go ahead and share this live. Now, most of the time when I say that, y'all just sit there and watch me. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to go ahead and share this particular live. This, I would say, is one of the most important lives that I've had so far. This is the most important show. Why do I say that? It's important because it is preparing us for the unknown, the unspeakable, that thing that is so certain, but we do not want to talk about and we do not want to deal with. So what are we focusing on today? Today is the letter D, which is the decisions dealing with death before and after. Wait, I know y'all like, how can I deal with death before I even die? Yes, there are some decisions that you need to make to prepare you and your people, the ones that you love, for that particular day that we do not want to talk about. What I have experienced in my life, it is very important that if you love the ones that you say you love, that you do not have that outcome or that outlook within your mind that when I'm gone, I don't have to worry about it. It puts so much pressure on your loved ones. First of all, have to deal with the fact that they have to learn to live life without you. Then prepare for your services and your arrangements. And then have to, do some extra things that you didn't prepare them for. How do I know that? Just went through it. So I am going to go in depth with how these things are important for you to have in place and how we can get it done. So this is not a do this, do that. This is a show, not a tale. This is a show. This is what we're going to do to help prepare us to deal with these decisions concerning death. All right. Now, what is the after part of it? I want to go through one particular part of death that also I feel everyone feel like everybody should know. And that's the proper etiquette once someone loved one has passed on. We feel that people know what to say. They know what to do. I know that one of the do not do's, when I was in college, I had this, I went to a historical Black college, but we had, I don't know why, all of our professors were foreigners. So I had this professor called Dr. Leon, and at the beginning of the school semester, he would put on the board do's and do not do's. And we like, why you just won't say don't? He said, because these are the things I want you to do. And this is what you do not do. Okay, so one of the do not do's is don't ask for nothing, don't expect nothing, and give the family time. What I learned in dealing with the word death and dealing with a grieving family is that same relationship that you had before the death is the one that you should maintain during death. And I had to learn that the hard way when one of my cousin's daughter passed away. And I depended on someone else. They was like, oh, she's not answering phone calls, so I didn't call. And then she was upset, like, I was expecting you to call me because I'm the one that always interacts. So keep that same relationship that you've had before because they're expecting it. They don't not expecting more if you don't give more before, and they not expecting anything less. Okay. All right. So as we go through our show, we have a wonderful guest today. Listen, this is someone who is a professional. Will getting things done and getting you prepared and your family prepared for everything you need concerning your decisions that you need to make during that particular transition time and to prepare for when that day happened. All right, so I want you all to welcome to the ABCs of Life, Love, and Loss. We're going to welcome the attorney, L.D. Thomas. Woo! What's up? What's up, L.D. Thomas?
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I am so glad to have you. I'm so excited to really just dive in to the knowledge that you have. Listen, I've been following you on your page, and I love the fact that you are so concerned that we are informed about the things that we're supposed to have in place. Like, this is supposed to be a norm for us. It's not supposed to be abnormal for us to have these particular things in place. So for our first question of the day, we want to know, listen, who is L.D. Thomas? Tell us about yourself and the services you provide.
Well, thank you. Again, thank you so much for having me. I am just in love with the show. I'm in love with your energy, and I am honored beyond measure to be here. So thank you for the invitation. I am L.D. Thomas. I'm an estate planning and probate attorney here in the DFW area, but I also have clients all across Texas. And my practice focuses on estate planning and probate work and guiding families through that transition and also guiding individuals through that process of thinking about what they want to happen. I was listening to your introduction, and I think you hit so many good points, right? It's the inevitable and the unexpected, right? Because there's so many things that go on. I'm a Dallas native, born and raised here in Dallas. I got my undergrad at the University of North Texas in Denton, a master's degree at UT Arlington, and got my law degree at UNT Dallas College of Law. So I like to tell everybody, whatever's right with me and wrong with me, you can blame the city of Dallas. You can't blame anybody else. Everything is here. So.
All right, there you have it, people. We have the city of Dallas. He born and raised, and then he stayed around the place to try to go to school. He didn't venture. We just thank you for letting us know who you are, letting us know that you are well educated and capable. And I feel anointed to do this particular assignment to help us to get it right. For so long, we've had it wrong. With the mentality of, when I'm gone, I'm gone. No, partner. You may be gone, but your stuff still has to be taken care of.
If I want to jump in right there, I do look at what I do as a type of ministry, and I'm glad you mentioned the word anointed, because you open that door, I'm going to run right through it. But
come on in.
I do feel that helping people through this time, it's a ministry, and it's a bit of a calling. Because it is not easy. There are so many emotions. Like you said, you're trying to grieve, you're trying to process how to move on in life. And now you are dumped with this huge burden. It's for the first time. A lot of people, it's the first time they've ever had to deal with probate. and then you're trying to sort out somebody else's finances, their affairs, and not everyone has a soft touch, right? Especially lawyers. We're not known particularly to be kind and warm and fuzzy people, but
Okay.
I keep my counselor hat on, attorney and counselor at law. So I try to keep my counselor hat on because that is a crucial step in understanding the human psyche and how grief affects your outlook. It affects how you latch on to items, and you care about granddad's pocket watch that you hadn't thought about in 40 years, but now all of a sudden it is the most important thing in the world to you. And people wonder, well, why am I fighting over this? And it's grief and that sort of thing. So it is a very layered practice. And I think a lot of it, I do look at it as a mission, because I actually didn't want to do it when I was in law school. I didn't like, well, we were talking about that.
Okay, listen, I understand being called to something that you do not want to do. When that monkey is on your back, you can't get it off. So that you might as well just walk in it and be obedient. So listen, people, before we get into any more questions, I want you all to share this video. Go ahead and share this live. All it takes is for you to just hit that share button so it can go to your page. Listen, we want as many people as possible to get this information, vital information that is needed for us. What we're going to understand and learn, it is not always about death that this planning is for. It is for that particular time when you can't make decisions for yourself. And I am going to get into how that played a part in my life, and I'm going to show you how important it is. So, question, Mr. L.D. Thomas, what is estate planning, will, trust, power of attorney, health and wealth instructions? Tell us what all of those things are.
So an estate plan kind of encompasses all of that, right? So everybody has an estate. One of the things I hear a lot in my practice, people say, well, I don't have much, right? I don't have anything, so it shouldn't matter. If you are over the age of 18, if you're an adult, you have stuff, okay? Whether it is, look at me, some belts, some wrestling belts you want to leave to your best friend, whatever, you have something. So everybody has an estate. So an estate plan tells people, this is what I want to happen to my things when, okay? And for a lot of people, we say, well, when I die. But you touched on this. There's part of estate planning also encompasses what we call incapacity planning, okay? And I like to say that's like the Sleeping Beauty era, where you haven't died quite yet, but you're not in a position to be up and to make decisions. And so a good solid estate plan would consist of either a will or a trust. Those are the two primary estate planning documents and the two primary avenues that people use to disperse of their assets upon their passing, okay? In addition to that, when we started getting into incapacity planning, that includes a medical power of attorney. So who's going to make those medical decisions for you when you can't? And that could be caused by a number of different scenarios, right? You could fall, bump your head, and just be knocked out for a couple hours, okay? You could be in the middle of surgery and a doctor discovers something and someone needs to make a decision as to what to do. Well, they're not going to pull you out of anesthesia to ask you the question. So who have you pinpointed to do that? Durable/financial power of attorney is what most people think about. Who can talk to the bank on my behalf? All of those things are important while you're still here. You ain't gone. You're not going anywhere, but you're not in a position to make those decisions. Some other documents that are important in incapacity planning is a HIPAA form, which became increasingly important during the time of COVID. We're used to, if we're in there with the doctor comes in, we're having a medical situation, the doctor comes in, gives an update, our loved ones are there, and everybody gets the update at the same time. What we saw with COVID, some people were quarantined, they were on ventilators, and family members were not allowed to visit. And people were trying to call and get information on their loved ones, and they couldn't do that simply because they didn't have the right documentation and authorization. And then something I believe we're going to talk about probably a little later, definitely an advance directive. If you are facing an end of life decision, someone's incapacitated, they're given a certain amount of times, or they're no brain activity. That's the pull the plug or not pull the plug document, just frankly speaking. And this is where you let your loved ones know what your wishes are, because that can be a very, very difficult time and a very, very difficult decision. And so those things with the will and the trust and all those other ancillary documents that I talked about, that's a pretty decent estate plan to kind of get you covered. There are all sorts of other types of trusts. There are types of other documents and ornaments that we can hang on that plan. But those documents should get you covered. And those take care of, like I said, the inevitable, which, I mean, everybody's going to die except me. I'm going to get changed in the twinkling of an eye. Everybody else don't need to get y'all. I'm going to get taken up. Everybody else, need to get y'all stuff together, because somebody's going to have to deal with the stuff when you're gone. And then the unexpected. So incapacity, not knowing that. So that would kind of cover those primary things, the inevitable and the unexpected.
Thank you so much for giving that breakdown. It's my turn to give my experience with these particular documents. So last year, around this time, it was about this time, a lot of my family members got COVID from, coming together. And it was then that my mom, she had it, and she was hospitalized for 29 days. Okay. So during this particular 29 days, she was what you described earlier, was on the ventilator. So she could not make these decisions. So my mom had her stuff in order, right? She had her estate planning. So we had this particular book. One thing about this book, in the month of July, my godmother, which was the matriarch of our family, she passed away. When she passed away, I asked my mom, like, okay, you got your stuff together. What we do if anything happened to you? But she, my mom was a bit, she was kind of spicy. Okay. She was like, don't worry about it. I got my stuff together. Y'all don't have to worry about my stuff. They know what they supposed to do. And I'm like, well, who are they?
Who's that?
Who are the they that you talking about? She's like, don't worry about it. They know. To this day, I don't know who they are. But I found this particular folder. So this was this folder. Mm-hmm. She had this estate planning portfolio, right? So because she didn't want to give me the information, I was a little nervous, like, well, she don't want us to know until it's time for us to know. So when I got this particular folder, I knew there was a power of attorney because she could make decisions. So her bills needed to be paid, right? Mm-hmm. Everything needs to be taken care of. But it was more to it than just light bill, water bill, the things of the the house that we know supposed to be paid every month. There's some personal things that, we have that we don't tell anybody about. So this particular paper allowed me to go to her bank. So what I wanted was the statement. Let me see what she's paying. Let me see what's automatically withdrawn, so I won't pay things twice, trying to take care of things. So that's when that paper came into play for us, my siblings and I, because I was a power of attorney. I was able to take care of those things for her. At that particular time, we was believing God. She was going to get better and she was going to come out. So because of that, I didn't go through any other part of the book. Okay. But with COVID, she was increasing, she was decreasing. So we had days where we were thinking everything was going to be okay. And then it was days that we didn't know. All the while, the doctors was asking us, do y'all know her requests? What was she like? What does she want to do? They was trying to encourage us to pull the plug. At that time, we like, oh no, we're not doing that. I don't know what she want to do, but we're not doing it.
We're not making it right.
So we're not making that decision. But it wasn't until it got to the point where her body really had decreased,
Mm.
and she was at that point. But I looked at my mom and saw that her body was really transitioning. But what I did not want to do is for my siblings and I to live with the fact of making that decision of pulling the plug. Now, we didn't want to.
Mhm.
So we had to, first of all, deal with the fact that we was losing our mom, but to live with, it was my decision to choose the day. You know what I'm saying? We didn't want to do that. So and it got to the point where, we seen her lungs, they were completely like, they were shredded. It looked like somebody had took chalk and just, scribbled all over, both sides. So we go home and we pull out this form. And that's when I flip through the tabs and I see the medical part that you was talking about.
Mhm.
I started reading it. At that particular point, it was a bittersweet moment for me. So much relief was there because everything that she was hooked up to and was receiving, she had it written down. I do not want that. I don't want life support. I don't want antibiotics. I don't want blood transfusion. I don't want. So even though it was hard to read, but it was her desires, and it relieved so much stress from my siblings and I. So now all we have to deal with is the grief, and we don't have to deal with the guilt part of making that particular decision. So, and I wanted to share that with everyone because you really don't know, because you gone. If you're gone, you don't know the effect that it will have on your loved one standing over you, having to make a decision. And then at that particular point, if you have more than one child or your husband and children, some will want to, some not. And, that's going to be a fight all in itself. So to prevent that agony, if you love your loved ones, it's best to get those things in place. So next question. Will you inform us? How do we get away from the mentality that only the rich or the wealthy needs these particular paperwork in place? Help us.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because that is a common misconception, right? I don't need an estate plan. People think, that's for people with these gilded gates and the lawns and the fountains and the butlers and all that other stuff. Because you hear this estate plan. And hey, listen, I'm trying to make sure I got enough money to get gas and a light bill. I don't need that. Right. And what I tell my clients, right, because my clients vary. My clients who are in that situation, the less you have, it's probably even more important that you have something in place, because you don't want to find yourself or put your loved ones in a situation where it is more expensive to get to the coins that you do have in the bank. That it costs more to hire the lawyer or pay the fee or to do this, that, and the third than it does the money that you have there. And then what happens is the money just sits there for years. Hopefully it eventually escheats to the state, and then there's still a whole process of trying to do unclaimed funds and then still divvying that up, right?
Right.
And there are all sorts of tools that are in place. And I try to tell people it's an estate plan. It is not a one size fits all situation. You need to sit down with an estate plan, like myself. If you want to call me, I'm here. But it's not just me. There are other people that do what I do. But you need to sit down with someone, look at your situation, look at your assets, and look at things, that can help transition your assets as best they can for you and your family. If you've only got $1,000 in the bank, there are things you can put in place with the bank so that money transitions without going through the court process. Right. But a lot of people don't know about these things because they don't sit down and have the conversation. But I assure you, the smaller your estate, the more important it is that it isn't, because you don't have the money to play around with and waste on extra fees, because the less that you plan, the more it will cost. So
Right.
if you don't even have enough money to cover the cost, you're setting your loved ones and your family members up for a situation where no, the state will get your money,
Right.
or just float away. And I've even seen where some banks have it just sat there and it got ate up in fees. It got ate up in fees. So by the time it went to the state for unclaimed funds, some of the money was gone because people even forgot to call and tell the bank that the person had died. So things just got eaten up. It's those sorts of things. So
Right.
that is a very, very bad misconception. The smaller your estate is, actually, the more important I think it is that you have something in place and that you talk to the proper people, because you don't have the money to play with.
Okay. All right. So I heard something that made me think of something I was not aware of until I went through the loss of my mother. I did not know that you needed to have a beneficiary for your bank account, because if you do not have someone else's name attached to it, when you leave, your bank account is closed, shut down, can't nobody get to it. Even if you had $200 in there, that $200 will be lost because you did not have a beneficiary attached to it. Give us some information about that.
So that was one of the things that I alluded to, right? There are some things that people don't know because they don't have this conversation. So I'm gonna back up and kind of give an educational lesson about how assets are divided, and then we'll move forward with the bank and show how that's important and how that works, right?
Okay, great.
When a person passes away, their estate and their assets are divided into two categories, what are called non-probate assets and probate assets. Okay, probate assets are those assets that have to go through the court proceeding in order to be transferred to another individual. Non-probate assets in general are anything that have a beneficiary listed. So typically insurance policy, and I say typically, insurance policies, 401ks, if you have a beneficiary listed, then they pay out directly without having to go through the probate process. There's something called a POD, a pay on death. And you simply go to your bank and you say, hey, when I die, I want this person to get my money. You give them their social security their social security number, sign, get it notarized, and it's on file.
Okay.
What that essentially does, like you said, is it names a beneficiary for your bank account. And like I said, anything that has a beneficiary attached to it is a non-probate asset and transfers outside of probate. So your loved ones would be able, whoever you designate, I should say, because sometimes you want to designate family and sometimes you don't. Right. Whoever you designate would be able to access that money and get that payout without having to go through the probate process. That is something that you can do without paying an attorney. That's, you go to the bank and you set that up. Again, on someone who has a small estate and their biggest asset is their home and maybe their bank account, could be life-changing, right? Very simplified, simple process. Name the beneficiary and don't have to worry about that. Right. It's huge and it's not expensive. It's the knowledge, right? And so hopefully your viewers, your listeners say, hey, I can go do that. But a lot of people, one, they wouldn't tune in, because what you're doing is amazing by getting this information out there. People, they wouldn't have tuned in, or they wouldn't have had the conversation to even get that knowledge to know that that's something that you can do.
All right, y'all. Y'all know I'm a teacher. So homework assignment. Everybody get a homework assignment. Go to your bank and make sure you get someone's name attached to it that you trust, that will be able to handle your business with that bank, get your money out, and just in case, or when that happens, okay? This is the thing that I want us to think about. Either you pick somebody or the bank gonna get it.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
You choose or they choose for you. Go ahead.
And I want to jump in because I was kind of a teacher's pet. So the other part of that homework assignment is to also, if you have life insurance policies, it's important that you double check those beneficiaries that you have listed on your life insurance policies periodically as well. Because what happens sometimes is the beneficiary we have listed may pass before we do. And if we don't update that, if the beneficiaries are, and there's nobody to pay that out to, then that becomes part of the estate, right? If there's not a benefit, because at that point there's no beneficiary, so that does become a probate asset, and now it forces your family to go through the probate process.
Cool.
Yeah, so make sure they do that as well.
All right. So Cynthia asks, do they have to have access to your account? Do they have access to your account before death?
No.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you answer that question.
No, they don't. And that's what's so awesome about this. When you pass away, or whenever the person passes away, they take the death certificate and do that. But they are not a co-signer. They don't get to write checks. They don't get to log into your bank account and see all of that. It is literally what it says. It pays on death. It does not make them an authorized signer or a co-account holder or any of that. It literally just does what it says. It pays them upon your death.
Right. I mean, they have no rights. Their only right is to remain silent until you can't speak.
And
that's
very good. And it's also revocable, so you can change it if they make you mad. So you can change it to somebody else if they make you mad.
Period. Okay. So the as we go into this particular parts, remember, you all, I want you to share this live. Don't be selfish and get this information on your own and not share it with your people. Listen, share it with the ones that you like, share it with the ones that you don't like. All of us need to know this particular information because it is so beneficial for us. So now, LD, I have made the decision, right, to start this plan. Now I want to know, what do I need to do to get started? What are the beginning stages?
It's the first thing you're going to want to do. One, congratulate yourself on making that decision. It is a huge step, right? Like, you had to get over those mental blocks. Honestly, just reach out to someone like me and just begin to have that conversation. Different estate planning attorneys handle different clients different ways. But you don't know what you don't know. So the very first step is to reach out to an estate planning attorney and to begin to have the conversation. And they will bubble up things and ask you questions that you may not have thought about. They'll gather information, and then you'll discuss it. Because like I said earlier, each plan is individualized to that person and their estate, right? So there are a lot of things that work for everybody, and there are some things that don't. So have the conversation. Just say, hey, you know what? Let me just do this. Let me get this off my to-do list. Let me wrap this up because we're on the second half of 2022 at this point. Say to yourself, you know what? Let me get this off my to-do list so I don't have to worry about this next year. Give yourself a sense of accomplishment. Just reach out and have the conversation.
All right. So I made a decision, right? I plan on calling you.
Okay.
Number one question I want to know, how much is this going to cost me? What are you trying to get out my pocket, Attorney Thomas?
Well, I will tell you, for the majority of my clients, it's less than the cost of a designer handbag or a PlayStation 5 or 7 or whatever number we're on, okay? But it does depend. And so I will say the cost can vary from several $100. You can do something for a couple of $100 and get covered. Or depending on how complex it is, it could be a couple of $1,000, okay? But I work with my clients. We do payment arrangements. We do payment plans. We do all sorts of things to get that thing done because I understand the importance of it. And again, we also look at what you need. I'm not going, because I don't need to do work that I don't need to do, okay? I want to take care of my people, and God will take care of me, just flat out. So now I can't speak for everybody, but right. But you can get yourself covered, and you can get those. You can get a will, a medical power of attorney, directive to physician, all of those, and the HIPAA form, all of those documents that we talked about in the beginning. You can get those for several $100. Okay, I know people who spend more than that on a night out in Uptown or Deep Ellum somewhere.
Right.
Definitely, you have more regret than you do getting this knocked off the list.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. So you all, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and start typing your questions in, and I'll look at them and we'll pop them up for LD Thomas to answer these particular questions. Listen, those things that you always wanted to know, this is your opportunity to ask questions so you can have this information so you can plan life. And then you can plan for death, because as long as you have life, other than LD Thomas, you're going to have death. All right. He going to be caught up.
Is it?
Which we all want, wish we can be, I'm living this life to live again. Okay. But this one on this side, in order for me to live again, I'm going to have to transition. Okay. So we have to get to that other side, and then we have to plan for it. Okay. Mr. LD, what advice can you give to people who are contemplating on starting their estate process? What advice can you give to them saying, okay, I kind of want to do it, but I don't know if I can. I don't have the time to do it. I don't have all the money that, I know he says a couple of $100, but I can't sacrifice all of that at this particular time. What advice can you give to us, those who are contemplating?
You asked me that question, and one thing popped to mind, and it's actually kind of sobering. Okay. The advice I would give you is do not wait. Just honestly, do not wait. My father, shout out to my dad, who is probably one of my biggest supporters and everything like that. Really blessed to have him. He is always sending me clients and sending me people. I talk to such and such at the truck yard. I talk to such and such at this, and I send them your way. And recently, he had a friend, and he said, "Hey, I talked to such and such. He needs to get his stuff together." It was Friday. Dad had talked to him earlier in the day, Friday, and Dad called me Friday evening. We were talking. He said, "Oh, such and such is going to call you." The next day, Saturday, Dad called me and told me the man had passed away.
Wow.
Yeah, and so one that scared my dad. Right? So, but we don't know, right? We don't know. Nobody knows the day or the hour of God coming, or when we are going to get called. We don't know that.
Right.
What I will tell you, and I tell people all the time, getting this done does not move you any closer to the front of the line. It doesn't push you ahead. But what it does is it gives you, if anything, it relieves you of stress. So it may pull you back because you're not stressing and thinking about it. It takes something off your mind, allow you to relax. But it doesn't move you any closer to the front of the line. My advice would be do not wait. Just get the process started. Some of my clients, we can get things wrapped up really quickly. Some of them, hey, LD, I need a little bit more time. That's fine. Inch forward is still moving forward. So what I would say is do not delay, because you alluded to this very much. Grief is a complicated thing, and it's so layered. And there is a difference when someone says, well, daddy passed, but he had all this stuff together, and he really took care of mom and made sure she was good to go. And you hear that relief. And then there's the other side of something, I love my daddy. I do. But boy, if I could dig him up, boy, he left us with a mess. Boy, and it is a difference, right? And it doesn't mean they don't love you anymore any less. But you can help them through the process, because you have to understand they are trying to rebuild their life
right
this time and see what life looks like without you. And you can make that easier or harder. for them, and hopefully you want to make it easier for them.
Right. Right. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I asked you all to post questions. I think you must be doing a very good job with your explanation because everyone understands because no one else have a question. Now, I understand and know that D word is hard to talk about.
It is.
It's like, shh, don't say that, you know. And I understand it. It makes you feel a certain way when you start talking about it, because you have to think about, I won't be here anymore. But it is for certain that we won't. I like what you said when you said it does not push you to the front of the line just because you have it in place. Oh, God don't say, oh, you got it taken care of. I'm going to take you out here right now. He's not a God like that. Your time is not going to change because you do or do not have it in order. I've gone through a particular thing, and it took for me to lose my mother in order to see the importance of it. We all think that, or hope I go instantly, I just want to go instantly, but that may not be the case. It may be a drawn out process for you, and somebody is going to have to make a decision concerning your health, your wealth, all of that. Go ahead. I see you want to say something. Go ahead.
I actually want to say two things. So that situation with your mom, we talked about that previously, and you have my son because it's hard. It's very hard to go through that. The other thing that happens that I've seen happen with family members, and quite honestly, probably happened with we don't know how it's going to happen, but we got situations. I know my mama probably told me one thing 2 years ago, and told my sister something 4 years ago, and then told my niece something 7 years ago. And so now all of a sudden the situation is here, and no, she told me this, and she told me this, and nobody's lying. She probably did say that at some point to everybody. And so that's the importance of having all of your wishes on paper, not just the director's position, but your will. Well, mama said she was going to leave me this. Well, now she told me she's going to leave me this. It's just all of this confusion, right? Put it on paper. Put it on paper. And the other thing I wanted to say is we got to put our big boy and our big girl pants on and just deal with it. It's a part of growing up. It's a part of being an adult. It's a part of hopefully you're going to the doctor. Hopefully you have insurance and you have an estate plan. It's just part of being a grown up. Everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Right.
You're going to just have to come to the reality of getting this done. And that's just the bottom line.
I thank you so much for taking out your time. So let's say I live in the city of Dallas. And I want to get in touch with you. How can we get in touch with you to start this process?
The best way to get in touch with me is just send me an email, okay? And when you do, send the email to ld@ldthomaslaw.com. That's ld@ldthomaslaw.com. And I tell you what, if you mention that you were on this interview and on your show and you're listening, we'll do a free consultation. So just say, hey, I was on the show and you told me I'd get a free consultation, and we'll do that. We'll do that for you.
Baby, that's called favor, huh? Favor. You get some favor is fair. Yeah, it ain't fair, but it's true. Yes. So let me ask you this about getting in contact with you. So that means you can handle the whole state of Texas, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. So it is, it goes by state. So you can't have or make an estate plan for someone out of state, correct?
Correct. So the best thing, estate laws are governed by each state. Okay.
Right.
And so it would be best if you live outside the state of Texas to contact a lawyer in your state. And some people say, oh, well, I don't know where to even start. What I recommend for some of people that I talk to, I've talked to people all over, uh, the state bar association of their particular state is a great place to start. So say
Mhm.
you are in Michigan, go to the Michigan State Bar Association, and they should have a search feature where you can search for a type of attorney in your city. And so that's a great way for people outside the state of Texas to find attorneys. Yeah.
I am so glad you mentioned the state, Michigan. That's where I'm from. And
That popped in my mind. We're just
I'm glad you mentioned that. Listen, I was born and raised in Detroit. So for the Detroiters, I have somebody for you too. Favor. Listen, his name is Michael Kane. He is an estate planning lawyer. He is he owns Michael Kane and Associates. So this is his phone number. Go ahead and write it down. You can call him. Guess what? He's expecting to hear from you. We've already talked. We already had a conversation. I do have a relationship with him. I have a relationship with him because he was my mother's lawyer. He did the state estate planning for her. So I got to know him very well. Had to. Because there were some things that, even though she had some things in place, like that probate stuff that you was talking about, we had to get some things in order and had to make some get some forms and some IRS stuff and EIN numbers and all that type of stuff. That's y'all gonna learn that when y'all call LD. Y'all gonna learn all that type of stuff. The things the things that go along with it. When you're on one side of it, and then when you are one of the ones that have to make the decisions, not all the time that, even though you're planning for you, you may have to make decisions for somebody else. You may be that VIP person that someone trusts and put things into your hands. So you're going to have to know the ins and outs of that. I want you all to know I received my my form from LD Thomas to start my estate planning. When it took me a while to get to it, because y'all, I'm still, it's been almost a year. We are still, my siblings and I, still dealing with some stuff concerning my mom's estate and the things like that. Although we were born and raised, it's 4 of us, 3 of us live out of state. So we have to go back and forth and, do something with this house and, car and all of that. And you don't think about that. Like, oh, I got a car note. Who going to take over my car note? So Daphne says, please let us know if you have a Georgia contact. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to work. LD, you have a Georgia contact?
Not right off the top of my head,
okay.
But I
all right. So this is what I need you to do. Listen, I'm researching some stuff, and then listen, put LD to work, call him and say, I thought I had, yeah, you told me I had favor, so you can't help me. I don't live in Texas. I live in the state of Georgia. Hook me up. All right. Daphne, thank you so much for that comment. I haven't received any other questions. LD, you are the bomb. Listen,
thank you.
Normally they throwing questions, but I believe at this particular point, a lot of us are thinking, and when it hit home, we kind of get silent.
I understand.
And trying to process some things, trying to get some things into play. I know this is a very difficult topic to even discuss. So that the reason why I use the word anointed, because you have to be anointed to deal with this particular topic, on a daily basis, to prepare even the hearts and mind of the people, to get them to the point of making this decision and then planning it out, walking them through step by step. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing in the community to help us. Listen, knowledge, man, we according to the word that I read, we perish for the lack of it. So that means it is so important that we get it. This particular knowledge for what's going to benefit and help us through life. There is no book that say step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 to any of this thing called life. There is a guide. It's called the Bible that'll help you. But you have to rightly divide that thing in order to understand it and get some good teaching and learning of it in order to put it into play. Cynthia Calhoun, I see that you posted a question. What was Michael Caine's number again? I put it back on the screen. That number is 313-838-9711. Again, that's 313-838-9711. I'm also going to put LD's information back on the screen to make sure you get that information. And don't forget to mention Experiencing Life, Love, and Loss for a free consultation. Listen, that is very important that he's going to consult you. Thank you so much. That means so much. Oh, I thank you so much for helping us because through going through this pandemic, a lot of us have lost someone, you know. If you haven't lost somebody personal to you, you know somebody who has, you know, lost someone. And the thing about it that I hate to say, that it's not going to end. We all have our turn. We got to get up out of here. And it's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow. Even as I say it, it's like, oh my goodness, you know, it does something on the inside, especially when you've dealt with a whole lot of grief and loss. So you know how it feels on this end. Just think about how important that you are to people and what life is going to be like once you're not here. You want to make it, if you love them like you say you do, you want to make this as easy as possible for them. And knowing is half the battle. Who said that? G.I. Joe?
They did.
Yeah, knowing is that's half the battle. Now that you know, half the battle, it has been fought. So the only thing you have to put into place.
If I can, I want to jump in, and this might be a little petty, okay? But I'll be honest with you. And if it's folks you don't love, okay? You need to have a plan to make sure that they don't get something. I mean, let's just be real. There are some folk that I want to make sure they don't get nothing, okay? And if you don't write that down, they gonna get no stuff, right? I mean, that's the other side of the play. If you don't have a plan for yourself, the state of Texas or the state of Michigan will have a plan for you, okay? And you may or may not like that. It will create scenarios where stepmama and the stepkids now own the house together. There are all types of things that can happen.
Right.
The child that you ain't talked to that told you to go drive off a cliff is now going to get everything that you hadn't talked to in forever. So not only do you want to set a plan to make sure, hey, let me take care of those that love me. Hey, you know what? If you told me to fly away, I don't need you to have none of my money when I do, right? So that's the other side of it. And that's the realistic side of it. There are some people that you don't want to have your stuff. And you that's part of the plan as well.
That's so true. So true. So true. And the thing, you can't do nothing about it. So you do while you can. Do something about that. All right. Thank you so much, LD. I really appreciate you. Listen, well, you know, this is the beginning of a relationship because I'm about to start that plan out to make sure because I love my people. I ain't got but these last $2 I gotta make sure these last $2 somebody that I want to spend them last $2 will be in place. And then the money part really is not so much as important to me. The thing that I am so much attached to is the before you get out of here, that space of when you're in a hospital, and you can't answer any questions. You don't want that same person that told you to fly away. They gonna be the first one at the hospital, and if they are connected, if they're one of your next of kin, they gonna ask them, "What do you want to do?" You don't want them making a decision for you. You want the right person to make that decision. So it's not necessarily. That's why I say before and after. Okay, there are some things that you need to put in place that's going to cover you while you're yet alive. Okay. And then some things that's going to cover and protect your people when you're not. Okay. So we just thank you. I thank God for you. Listen, I really do. You're in a very good place, an anointed position to really help and minister to people and get them on the right track. So you all go ahead and contact those of you that are in Texas area, Dallas, Fort Worth area. Contact him at ld@ldthomaslaw.com. Mention Experiencing Life, Love, and Loss for that free consultation. For those of you that are in Michigan, you can contact Michael Kane with Michael Kane and Associates at 313-838-9711. And for those of you in Georgia, you're going to call. Give us a little time, though, before you call. You're going to call. We're going to get you some information on who you can contact to start your estate planning process. Listen, I hope you have been blessed by our show today. Thank you so much. Listen, it is not too late for you to share this video. Even when we get off, make sure you share this live on your page. We want all the people that we know and are connected to be informed of this particular thing, because it is going to benefit us for life and afterlife. All right. Thank you so much. And we'll see you all next first Monday, where our letter will be E. Listen, you don't want to miss that E. Ooh, it's going to be thebomb.com. So we'll see you there. Y'all have a blessed month.
Watch out, world, I'm coming through. Watch out, world, I'm coming through. Watch out. You've experienced life, love, loss, have no fear. Just keep pushing, be strong. Keep the faith until change comes. Strength is not how much you can ever overcome, and what you couldn't do alone.